Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am S-ATAIII, and I am back with another super guide to get you up through the ranks. This time, we're going to look at getting you from gold into platinum. Now, last week I made a video where I showed you how to go from platinum to diamond, and that was a result of me watching hundreds and hundreds of videos that were submitted to my Overanalyze series of people playing in platinum, and it suddenly dawned on me, they're only making basic mistakes. If they actually corrected them, they would get into diamond. And I've been flooded on Twitter by people going, oh my god, I've got it into diamond, I've made it into diamond from platinum. Thanks for the tips. They were very basic things though, and it was awesome. So I decided, why don't I do this for gold? There must be mistakes gold players are making that prevents them from going into platinum. And again, I've watched hundreds and hundreds of videos, and I'm not even exaggerating. I get sent loads and loads of videos, and one thing sticked out straight away. Like a sore thumb, it was, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when I ask for videos to be sent in for Overanalyzed, what I want you to do is email them to overanalyzedow@gmail.com, upload them to YouTube, put the link to the video in the description, and then the title of the email must read your rating, the heroes you played, and the map that you're on. And one thing stuck out, right? The heroes played for gold players would be like 3 or 4 different heroes in one game. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, you know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the first tip. Do not constantly swap heroes. You have to become good with 3 heroes, I would say, right? And these heroes need to be in each role. Now, the basic ones for these, I would say, is Soldier 76. Pretty much straight up DPS. Yes, very hard to play at an amazing level, but he is easy to kind of understand. You don't have to be supremely accurate like you need to be with McCree if you want to take a hit scan hero, because you can track fire. So what that means is you can basically spray and pray. Like, you track your target, you keep firing, you'll miss some, but you'll hit some. With McCree, if you're not very good at aiming, then you just won't hit any shots and you'll do no damage. So Soldier is a good standard DPS pick, and he's very much so in the meta right now, if that even bothers you. Reinhardt is the best tank for a new player, because Reinhardt, and no disrespect to Reinhardt players, remember I play a lot of Reinhardt myself, all you need to do is bring up the barrier and stay with your team. If you be very defensive and stay with your team playing Reinhardt, that is a major bonus than you being over aggressive. You see, what separates an extremely good Reinhardt player from a very bad one is the good one knows when to get aggressive. But sometimes you might have to play Reinhardt, yeah? So if your team doesn't have a tank, or maybe you're thinking, oh, we need to get through this choke point, how are we going to do this? Well, maybe Reinhardt's barrier would help. And pro tip, it always helps getting through choke points. This is why he's in the meta so much. You need to just deploy the barrier and walk forward. It's not difficult, but resist the urge to charge in or do anything crazy. The other hero would be Lucio for healing. Now, Lucio can heal in an area of effect around him. So this is actually very easy because you don't have to target people. You just need to be in and around the team. The only thing you need to do with Lucio is know when to amp it up. But again, that's very simple. If your team start taking damage, you amp up the healing song, right? If you want to run away from an ultimate, maybe Maze just dropped a blizzard or something, then you turn speed on and you run away. They're very basic heroes. But the worst thing I was seeing in all of these video clips, like I said, was people playing 4 or 5 different characters. And I'd noticed what they would do is they would start off as a support or start off as a tank and then go to DPS. I'm pretty sure they're doing this because they're starting to think the DPS are not doing anything. What you've got to remember is Overwatch is a team game, and every single hero can have an impact. So if you think the DPS are not doing anything but you're playing a Reinhardt, then maybe you're not allowing them to do anything. Maybe you're being too aggressive and getting killed straight away and leaving them with no protection. Maybe if you're Ana as support, you're not actually healing them, or you're not nano boosting them, or you're not doing something to allow them to sort of do their job. So this is the biggest issue I've seen with gold players. Do not swap constantly. Just pick a hero, play the hero. Sometimes you might have to swap, right? If you're playing a Pharah and they've got a very good soldier and he's killing the Pharah, then maybe you should swap your Pharah to maybe a soldier or something else, right? Because you're going to get hard countered. Or maybe you're playing a Bastion but things are not working out, then maybe you should swap again. But don't swap all of the time. You will not get very good with heroes if you keep doing that. There is one thing that is constant with players that as they go up through the ranks, they will refer to themselves as being a main Genji, a main Roadhog. I would call myself a main Reinhardt. I don't believe we have mains, okay? Because we've got to be flexible in this game, and that'll be another point which I'll come on to in a second. But you need to get good with heroes that you know you can play. Like heroes that you know you know them inside out, right? You know what you should be doing, you know the positioning, and you're only going to know that if you keep playing the heroes. You could watch guide videos, you can do all of that stuff, but none of it will matter. You need active experience, and you will not get that if you keep swapping heroes. So please, don't constantly swap heroes. Number 2, your life is extremely valuable. The worst thing you can do in Overwatch is die. Now, I kind of covered this in the Platinum to Diamond video, but in that video I said don't overextend. So what that meant was, if you got a kill and then you rushed forward, like you've killed somebody thinking nice one, so you go way too deep and die again. In gold, it's a completely different situation. Players tend to throw their lives away, and a lot of the time I'll see equal deaths to equal eliminations. That is not great. You should have way more eliminations than deaths. So what the hell is happening? Well, a very common thing is people thinking they can 1v2. It is very, very difficult in Overwatch to kill people 1v2, right? Even if you're McCree or you're some sort of high damage hero, it's going to be very hard to kill 2 opposing enemy heroes. Even if they're 2 supports, right? They could still take you out. Do not do this. People were doing this all of the time in the videos that I've watched. They would go in, they would think they could just take them out, and they can't. You have to play with the team. Always remember, attack as a team, defend as a team. Don't go off on your own, because that's not going to work. You know, maybe, well, one example was of a Tracer. And this Tracer was playing Tracer on defense on Volskaya Industries, which, okay, isn't too bad. But what this Tracer did was started off by the enemy spawn. The rest of the team were defending under the archway by the first point. The Tracer, as I said, was standing like right by their spawn. I know what this Tracer was trying to do, because when the enemy start to attack, Tracer's going to come out behind and start to kill them. And it worked, right? She killed one of them, and that was great. But then Tracer stayed there, and so what does that mean? Well, the enemy team know Tracer's there. They kill her. Now, she's dead. Now it's a 5v6 on the point, and it's going to take Tracer a while to get back to the point. So that is an example of throwing your life away. It's not great play. You might think, oh yeah, I've got a kill. This is awesome. But it's not actually that awesome, because you're dead, and it's going to take you a long time to get back. Like, it's very high risk, and for you to constantly keep killing the enemy team, that's not going to work, because they're going to wise up to you straight away. And that's what happened. Another common thing I see is people trying to pull off like an amazing ultimate, like the Q from the gods. And what they're trying to do is they'll either take like Farah is a good example of this. They'll hide, right? They'll go in, they'll hide around the back of the enemy team, and they'll just wait, and they'll wait, and then they'll wait, and then they'll be in the voice chat, and then they'll be on the comms, and they're like, yeah, guys, I'm just waiting. You guys push. What that player doesn't realise is, because they're not with the team and the enemy team is all together, your team is fighting a 5v6. It doesn't matter if you're waiting forever for the perfect ultimate. It's not going to happen. You should be part of the team fight, blasting away into their team, doing damage to them, and then looking to pop your ult. Maybe combo with like a Zarya or something. But I'm not too concerned about combos at gold level. It's more about just being a better individual player. So this kind of mentality of hiding behind the front lines and then like trying to pop out and get off an amazing ultimate is crap. Like McCree does this as well. I've noticed McCree's trying to do this on maps like Numbani or things like any map basically. They'll try and go behind the enemy team to get off the perfect high noon, and they might kill one person or kill 2 people, but they do it at the wrong time, or as I said, they're just not with their team, and that results in, well, a 5v6, which is never going to work. So don't ever try and solo ult. It is the worst thing you can possibly do. Don't try and 1v2 people, and don't try and like 1v3 people. Don't think you're amazing and you can do that, because you can't. Even I can't do this. Even pro gamers can't generally do that. You have to be with your team. That's the way Overwatch works. Yeah, you could get a 2v1 or a 1v2 in a team fight as the brawl breaks out, but that's because everyone's firing at everybody. It's not just you versus 2 other people. So always think about that. Your life is valuable. Do not throw it away. The other point to this is positioning. Now, I spoke about this a little bit in the Diamond video, or the Platinum to Diamond video, but we need to go even more basic for Gold, and this is dead simple, right? If you're a support, you should not be on the front line. If you're a DPS, you should not really be on the front line. If you're a tank, you should be on the front line. So think of it very simply like this. If you're support, you should see the whole team in front of you. If you're a DPS, you should see the tanks in front of you. If you're tanks, you should see the enemy in front of you, and that's it. If you roll off that mentality, it's great. Now, there are some exceptions, like flankers like Genji and Tracer. Yeah, they would be in the back line. But on the whole, that is a very simple way of looking at it. And if you listen to those, or you think about that every time you're playing, like if you do like a positioning check in your mind, go, am I in the right position? I'm playing Mercy. I can only see the tanks. Where's the DPS? Oh, Soldier's miles behind me. McCree's behind me. Maybe I should back up a little bit. Because remember, you're going to need to heal those guys as well. So very simple, and just keep that in your mind. And also one little thing on choke points as well. Defend at choke points. Don't defend outside the enemy spawn. This is a critically bad thing I see a lot of teams doing in Gold. This will result in a loss almost all of the time. Sometimes you may manage to pull it off, sure, but this will not work as you get into Platinum, and it will definitely not work in Diamond and above. You will just get absolutely wrecked. Number 3, practice your accuracy. Now, I watched a Silver player for the very first video for the new Overanalyze series, and I was very impressed with this guy's aim. The thing is, this guy had really bad game sense, and he had to work on that, but his accuracy wasn't too bad. However, after watching quite a large sample size of Gold players play, it is quite clear their accuracy is not great. So you would benefit from doing simple accuracy training drills. One of them is going into a custom game, loading in nanobots on the enemy team, setting it to headshots only, and then using McCree to try and headshot the Annas. You can't die because Anna can't headshot you. Anna's got a small head, so she's hard to hit, and this will make you a better player, and you can do this. Another thing would be just simply playing McCree or Soldier, anybody who requires accuracy, and just playing them in quick play over and over again, just to get your accuracy better. It will make you a better player, because if you're fundamentally better at accuracy than the enemy team, then, well, you're better. I mean, recently I played my one of my Smurf accounts. It decayed down to 3k, so I know this is diamond and it's not necessarily gold as this video is aimed at, but the kind of the same principles apply. I noticed that even at that level my accuracy was much better than the enemy team, and I just played Soldier and won 18 games on the trot, went straight into High Master because, yeah, and then suddenly I started to get problems with enemy DPS then, because they'd start to kill me as much as I'd kill them. So you can say that's where I'm starting to get to my level of ability right there with DPS, but I quickly shot up through the ranks just because my accuracy was better. So if you work on your accuracy, you will become a better player. Number 4, you need healers and tanks. Now, team composition is a very difficult thing to talk about because there are so many different variables, but there are a couple of basic things you should look at doing. Now, I've noticed this as well in gold. You'll get a team of complete DPS, which is crazy. Or you'll get 3 supports, which again is a bit crazy because your team won't do enough damage. Or you might get 4 tanks, which again is probably okay because of the way the meta is right now, but hopefully that will change. So what you've got to look at is a couple of principles, right? If you lock in as, let's just make a hypothetical team. You lock in as Genji, there's a Soldier, there's a McCree, there's a Reaper, there's a Mei, and then there's a Lucio. That is not a good team. You have no front line. There are roles that need to be filled in Overwatch. You need a front line, you need supports, you need DPS. So if you look at that team, what it needs is a tank, and it also needs maybe a support. But if none of the other players want to change, you on the Genji, you should probably think, okay, I should probably play a tank. And it can be any tank, right? It doesn't really matter. Reinhardt might be the best one in that position because it's probably the best solo tank. But you could play a Roadhog, you could play a Zarya, and that will increase your chances of winning. You see, this kind of point is all about increasing your chances of winning. I know you might want to play Genji, I know you might want to play some other hero, but it's not really about that. Overwatch is. It is if you want to play quick play, but competitively, if you want to rank up, you have to work with the team, and that means sometimes you'll get stubborn people on your team who just will not swap. They will play Pharah endlessly, they will play Genji endlessly, they will play Hanzo, they will play Torbjorn, Symmetra. That regardless of the situation, that's what they're going to play. In those cases, you've got to think, what does the team need, right? It's okay locking in your hero straight away, like I do this, right? If I want to play Soldier on my ult, or even my main account, I'd lock in with Soldier straight away. I'd sit there, people would start selecting their heroes, and then somebody might select, you know, maybe a McCree, and there's a Reaper as well on the team. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, I know I can play Reinhardt, or I can play Lucio or Anna, so I'll swap to Reinhardt, right? Because we've got enough damage there, let's swap, let's go. That wins you more games than just stubbornly sticking on the characters you want to play. I know sometimes people will be thinking like, hey, I've paid for this game, I want to play this game, I don't want this guy to tell me what to do. They're not telling you what to do, but you're being clever to work through the ranks. And as you get higher in the ranks, that kind of insta-lock mentality, it tends to go down. Like I just said, I might lock in as a Soldier, but then I would be flexible. And there are a lot of people that do that. And it is kind of, you have to get out of the gold and platinum regions to do that. Once you start getting into diamond and above, you'll notice that it gets much better because people become more tactically aware. So that's a great example of you using your brain to get out of your rank. And finally, this kind of leads on from the last point. Be flexible, really be flexible. Don't just lock in with one hero and play that hero non-stop. There are some freak examples where people have managed to do this, but generally, this is a bad thing. Don't just play Torbjorn on every single map, on every single point, because it's not going to be that great, because the enemy team might counter you. And this is one of the big things in Overwatch. If the enemy counters you, you have to swap. If you don't, then you're going to die. If you're playing Soldier 76 and the enemy has a Pharah, there is nothing that I like better than seeing a Pharah, because I can just start shooting the Pharah and I just focus the Pharah and kill her. Now, if she comes back again, I'll do it again. If she comes back again, I'll do it again. If she changes then to something else, then I've got a problem, right? She changes to a Tracer, she changes to another Soldier, she changes to a McCree, I've got a problem. If she just sticks on that hero, I don't have a problem and I kill her. And I noticed this in low diamond, so this happens all of the time in gold. And like I said, I've watched a ton of videos of people playing against, like, one example that sticks out in my mind is a Widowmaker. There was a Widowmaker, and the person in the question was playing Pharah, and so the Widowmaker was killing the Pharah over and over again. This was on Temple of Anubis. Pharah was on defense, Widowmaker was on attack, and Pharah constantly got killed over and over again. And I'm watching this video back, and I had to stop it because I kept saying to myself, myself, swap your hero. Why haven't you swapped your hero? No, again, spawns, flies up in the air, fires a few rockets, gets killed. Then spawns again, and then in the description of the video, it was, yes, I need some tips on Pharah. I don't seem to be able to make her work. Pharah did not work in that situation. Even if you were the best Pharah ever, you were still getting destroyed by the Widow. You have to change. You've got to be willing to swap. It's okay saying, like, I mean, it's more to do with the mentality of this. You have to be willing to do it. If you're not going to do it, you will not get out of gold. So let's just recap what we've gone over. So the first tip is don't constantly swap your heroes. Try to become good with a couple of heroes. So if you're not sure of what to do, Soldier, Reinhardt, and Lucio would be great heroes to become passable with, right? But try and stick to a few heroes so you become better with them. Because if you keep swapping heroes, if you're playing 4 or 5 different heroes in a game, you're not going to be good. You're going to be like, what's the saying? You're going to be a master of all, no, something of all trades, a master of none. Yes, you guys know what I'm trying to say, right? That's what you're going to be. You're going to be a shaman from World of Warcraft, basically, I think. At least when I played WoW. Number 2, your life is valuable. Do not throw it away. Do not try and 1v2 people. Don't try and hide behind the enemy for an amazing ultimate. Don't try and solo ult the enemy. Just keep yourself alive. If you're a healer, don't be on the front line. If you're a DPS, don't be deep into the enemy all of the time. Play with your tanks. Play clever. Do not defend outside the enemy spawn as well, because that is crazy. If you see a team doing that, say, guys, back up, back up. That's what you need to do. Number 3, well, practice accuracy. This is just practice. This will come with playing the game more, but you can help yourself with this a little bit by doing training drills. Like I said, you could do the Ana training drill. You could even go in the training range, just fire a few shots off every now and again before you go into a game. That'll help you warm up, but also it'll help your accuracy a little bit as well. But just playing more games will generally help accuracy. And if you don't want to do that in competitive, do it in quick play. You need healers and tanks as well. Being aware of your team composition is critical. Don't play a game with 6 DPS and 5 DPS and 1 healer. That's crazy. Think maybe you could swap. Don't just stubbornly play that Genji all of the time. And that leads into the final point, which is you have to be willing to swap and you have to be flexible to some degree. Don't just sit there, turn off team chat, play Genji because you don't care, because that's not going to get you anywhere unless you're a really, really good Genji, right? Because you're going to cause your team massive problems by doing that, especially if your team are doing the same thing as well, which generally does seem to happen around gold and low platinum. People are just like, no, I'm playing this hero, so shut up. And it's like, okay, you're playing that hero, but we've got no healers. You have to step up. You've got to be the bigger person. All right, guys, I've been Stylosa, and this is Unit Lost, and this has been how to get from gold to platinum. And I am fairly sure if you do what I've just said in this video, I know it's a fairly detailed video, but if you do it, you will get out of gold, because gold players are basically platinum players, but with less game knowledge. If they can increase their game knowledge and maybe work a little bit on accuracy, they will get straight up into platinum, and then they'll be able to get into diamond. Everybody in gold right now can get into diamond, right? Diamond is the benchmark everybody should be looking at getting to. If you're in diamond, then you need to try and get to master. Master to grandmaster to top 500 is such a small number of players in the grand scheme of things that everybody is fairly as good as each other in that case. But from gold to platinum, there's quite a big gap, and the gap is knowledge. From platinum to diamond, again, it's knowledge, but it's more enhanced knowledge. From diamond to master, it's more accuracy. All right, guys, I'm Stylosa, this is Unit Lost. If you have any tips, then do leave them below. And if these videos do help you, then like them, because I'll keep making them if you do. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming. And I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Toodaloo.